At the silent count.
Welcome back to pregame.tv. I'm your host, Marco D'Angelo, joined in studio by Ken Thomson, taping a little earlier today on Thursday. I don't know what he had for breakfast, but my man's wired up today. Yes, Ken Thomson, SportsX Radio, Yahoo Sports Radio. We're going to break down some baseball, some basketball, some hockey. We got it all.
Going all over the place.
That's it.
And the good thing is that Barry has adjusted the volume on your ear set now, so I get to goof around before the videos now.
Yeah, we're going to get them yet. Don't you worry. Barry hasn't told me the price, but we're going to get the antics that this guy does to me before we go on air.
You're back in court, though, I see.
Yeah, we're back. Judge Judy. We're going to look at Cleveland, Baltimore, Friday night. Now, I came straight to the studio today, Ken, from doing First Preview radio show. So, obviously, I handicapped my games last night, prepping for the shoot today. And we had a last-minute pitching change. Tomorrow, right now, going for Cleveland is that infamous guy. I see him all the time listed. The guy never wins a game. That TBA, to be announced guy, to be determined.
Not to be confused with TNA.
And my man would know all about that.
I would.
Yeah, you should see how the waitresses spawn over him at Lugazi Stadium every week when I'm down there on Monday nights. Yeah. They wait on you.
I'm pampered. I'm pampered.
You are. But Masterson was set to go for Cleveland, and Cleveland moved him up and pitching him today, actually. So we don't know who's going for Cleveland, but my play was more based on situational and Bud Norris. Baltimore, they're in the AL East, which is basically anybody's for the taking. Even Tampa Bay, as bad as they're playing, still in it. Nobody's running away with it. Baltimore currently, as we enter Thursday action, a half game behind. Playing a Cleveland team coming off a big series sweep of the Tigers. But I got to think a lot of that had to do with the Tigers coming off that emotional series in Fenway right before they went to Cleveland, sweeping the Red Sox, getting revenge for getting knocked out of the playoffs last year.
And they swept Baltimore before that, Detroit did. So they were red hot with that 12-game road winning streak. But it was a huge series for Cleveland because in order for them to make up any ground, they were burying themselves in the cellar there in the AL Central. They needed a sweep. They got the sweep, and the improbable 13-inning victory where they came back 3 times from the dead, including 2 down in the 9th, a 2-run homer. That was huge. It's a huge series. I could see a letdown on today's game, Thursday, but again, Baltimore going home, and again, that's a situational thing where you don't like to take that team first game. So I'm staying away from it, but it's a kind of a weird contrast here of styles and the way teams are playing. But again, a huge series for Cleveland to sweep Detroit.
Yeah, and you didn't even mention, the finale of that series yesterday, they put up 7 runs on Scherzer. Well, you think that if you put up 7 runs on Scherzer,
right,
you've won the game. But they left Scherzer in. He battled through the early struggles that he had. Actually ended up going 7 innings, and Scherzer was in line for the win.
For the win. Joe Nathan screws it up, yeah.
9-7 going to the bottom of the 9th, and they tie it. But you forgot to mention the best part of it. The walk-off
balk.
Yeah. Can you believe? That's how Cleveland wins it. But
that's nuts.
That was it. But you know what? Let's get to this one and go ahead.
All right. Well, Marco D'Angelo, this is your free play, so let's make it official.
All right. Yeah, Ken alluded to it. Baltimore's returning home from a road trip. I generally don't like to jump on these teams first game back home from the road trip. I like to get them in the second game. That'll be the situation on Friday night. We're also going to be getting a pitcher in Bud Norris. He's pitching pretty well for Baltimore. This was a kid that threw well at Houston, but obviously was on a bad team. Now got a team that can score him some runs. I like Bud Norris. I especially like him when he pitches at home. In 4 of his last 5 starts overall, Bud Norris has given up 3 runs or less. But when you put him at home as opposed to on the road, the numbers are just like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. At home, he's got an ERA of 2.25 versus an ERA of 4.45 on the road. 2-run differential there. He's pitching at night. When he pitches at night, his ERA is 2.54. When he pitches in a day game, his ERA is 7.15. So we're getting Bud Norris in all of his best situations. At home, at night, we're going to be facing a Cleveland team coming off that big series. I don't know who Cleveland's throwing, but there's nobody in the rotation that scares me. I like Baltimore in this one. It's a situational play with Baltimore and a hot pitcher in his best situations. And to throw a couple stats at you, Cleveland, 3-10 their last 13 road games. Baltimore in game 2s of a series, 9-4 the last 13. Baltimore also 7-3 in the last 10 starts with Bud Norris on the mound when he's facing a team with a losing record. All of that tells me I'll be on Baltimore on Friday night, and that is my free play to get things started off.
There you go. And you get Chris Davis now back in the lineup, starting to feel it, and Nelson Cruz, Adam Jones. I mean, they've got some pretty good bats right there, and this is a team that's going to definitely be right in the thick of things till the end of the AL East.
Remember, last year they had a regression from the year before, which it had to happen. If you remember 2 years ago, that was the year they had that incredible number in one run in extra inning games where they won almost every one in those situations. And so things had to even out a little bit last year. I think this is a team that came into this season flying under the radar, and they're right there. And if they stay healthy and get the pitching out of some of these guys, they're going to be there the whole way.
And that's the whole thing. We hold our breath when we see guys get a 50-game suspension. We don't know how they're going to be. Johnny Peralta, we've seen him struggle. Nelson Cruz, we've seen him excel. And again, all it makes us feel like is why? You didn't need it.
Yeah.
Gosh, you're that good. And he fits right in that lineup. And he is that powerful bat that they needed along with Davis and Adam Jones. And I think with Machado, he's hitting around 235 now. If he starts hitting, this lineup could be very tough.
Good stuff. All right, there you have it. We're going to be right back with Ken's free pick. We're going to go to the ice. My man likes it on the rocks.
Yeah.
We're going to go with the, what do we got? We got the Chicago Blackhawks.
L.A. Kings.
L.A. Kings. You've been all over the Kings. We'll see what he has to say up next. Ken Thomson's free pick here on pregame.tv.